but I want to have faith in humans. Give me something to believe in. Earth below me, sky above me, fire within me. Brought to you by UPRN Network. I'm Trish Moe, and this is The Missing Piece.
Good evening. I'm Trish. This is The Missing Piece, and we got a little bit of a late start tonight due to some technical difficulties broadcasting live on New Orleans 105.3 and United Public Radio Network. I am in the Midwest, located in Kansas, however. And thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight, I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. I was hoping to I know a lot of my listeners are still familiar with me from Chasing Prophecy, which is on Tuesday nights, as well as I have made, been on some of the other shows as well in the past. So, but I kind of wanted to, I haven't really had the opportunity to introduce myself as far as what specifically I do and who I am, as far as what I hopefully can share with you. And so it kind of began last year at this time, ironically. Everything, any project, any goals, any things that come to mind are usually at a point in my life where I have literally hit rock bottom. And I know, the world was in a disarray last year as far as COVID goes. So it started with that. In January, February, I was at a transitional phase in my life as far as I had to move out of my house. I was homeless for a little bit in there. I got sick sometime in there. I do have Lyme disease. So that's something I battle off and on as well. And I kept, I had always told people that at the end of the day, if you have a story, everybody has a story. Everybody should be heard as far as their life. And at the end of the day, if you don't have anyone to tell that to, I've always said it's kind of like a book that just sits on a shelf and is never opened. And so through all of these spiritual awakenings, I've had numerous near-death experiences and such. And during those times, my spirit guides and ancestors and things, I always said, well, who am I supposed to tell? Who am I supposed to tell? Because as most people go through hard times in life, other people tend to isolate you, we isolate ourselves actually. And especially when you're involved in paranormal and things that other people don't really understand. And so that's when they said, I said, who am I going to tell? And they said, tell the world. Tell the world. So I started a business. That's when I started my photography and art and Savage Roots Alchemy, which is the beginning of a very big project as far as my art and photography and everything else ties into. But I embarked on that venture, with goals, not knowing how it was going to go, not knowing what was going to happen. And as you all, the ones that watch the videos, not the podcast, I do have ADHD, and I tend to be very expressive with, my hands, and I get distracted really easily, so I lose focus and just go off on different tangents. I'm sure people realize that from Chasing Prophecy, but what started happening after all of these events, and how I got into paganism, even as far as practicing a I live my life by the moon phases, as well as we're constantly, as humans, we're constantly evolving through these. It's kind of, I guess, beginnings and endings in our lives. And that doesn't necessarily mean death as in actual death, death as in death of a phase of your life or death of a chapter. And so when that happens to me, I always learn something extremely profound. And after growing up in the mountains and in nature, and also living in the city and a variety of the country, different places, I started going through these kind of the moon has the three phases. So I started going through these kind of, if you're thinking of, I think of everything as food. I love food. So like with the moon, eat, stop, eat, there's like, it's like intermittent fasting. You have the full moon in the middle of the month. And then you have basically in the beginning, you go through kind of a release phase, and then the full moon, and then what you want to bring into your life. So once I started doing that, really amazing things started happening. And I communicate with animals a lot. And I was thinking I think I'm going to start sharing a lot of these crazy things that happen to me literally on a daily basis that I channel, or how I connect to my ancestors, or how I connect to spirits, how I connect to historic people at locations. And a lot of times I am intuitively drawn to a specific event or person or business or cemetery, or historical place. And then from there, I'll go visit the place, or I guess I don't really investigate per se. I go there and I listen. I try to use all of my senses and just be still the first time I go somewhere. The second time, I try to take pictures, because a lot of times we don't always see everything. And I try to see the bigger picture and see it from all angles. So as a photographer, that means looking at it in all directions, because a lot of times when you go back is when you actually see what matters. So in my hometown, I love on the museum, the motto is preserving the past to serve the future. And especially recently, that there's been so much controversy around what is shared in schools, what is shared in libraries, what historical monuments, things like that are being taken down, books destroyed. And so we're losing a lot of that history. And I think it's important to preserve that so we remember, but not necessarily in a negative light. So this all started recently with a mouse, actually. Where I live, I had a vent opening in my house, where my dryer was, and about the beginning of fall, before we covered it completely, a mouse got in my house. And it's funny because you see mice historically in every, in medieval times and fairy tales. They're very big in a lot of children's books, nursery rhymes, things like that. So anyways, this mouse was in my house, and I'm an empath. So I have a hard time. I don't even kill spiders. I don't have the ability to, I don't want to hurt things ever. And so, and as a pagan, that's part of our witch's creed too, is harm to none. So this mouse, I have kids and stuff. So it would be crawling around on the counter and just making us crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to catch this. I don't know what to do about it. So a cat came into my life. I adopted from the Humane Society. Actually, a very good friend of mine led me to that, and he's the cat's one of the greatest things that could have happened at that time. I think he adopted me. His name is Thor. A lot of you have probably seen him on Chasing as well. And but he saw the mouse one night, and he was afraid of it. And that's kind of what we do to animals and people. And when we kind of give away our power in that aspect, he's lived domesticated so long that he didn't realize that he was the mouse, or I'm sorry, that he was bigger, that he was the cat, and that the mouse was smaller than him. And his previous owners had him declawed, so he doesn't really have a defense mechanism either. So he just watched it, and he was afraid of it. He didn't realize that he was actually the predator in that situation. And so I thought, well, okay. So everybody says, if you want to take care of a mouse problem, and I wanted to do it organically, meaning I didn't want to kill it, obviously. I couldn't catch it or let it out of the house in any way. So then I got a cat that was supposed to be his job, and then my cat's broken also. So then I thought, okay, I went looking for traps, and they all seemed very, very violent. And I didn't want to see something get tortured, or, they have glue traps, and they have the metal traps that you said, and they have, so I finally broke down. I ended up getting a trap that is enclosed, and you set the bait underneath. It's like a little house type thing, and you twist it and it sets it, and you don't have to see anything. The mouse goes in there, a door shuts, and it spins and kills it somehow. And granted, I had gotten quite, I kind of gotten away from my spirituality and been disconnected from that since living in the city. And the city will do that to you because it kind of numbs us. Violence and crime and everything where I live, it becomes so normal that sometimes we forget that how much damage it does to our world. And so I set this trap, and nothing happened for about a week. Nothing happened. Nobody in my house ever heard it go off. Nothing ever set it off. And I thought, okay, well, this is stupid. I was sitting at my desk one day, and I sense animal vibrations when they come near me. And so I sitting there, and I looked over, and the mouse was just sitting there looking at me. And it didn't move. It stopped. And we had this moment. We had this, I don't know how to explain it to people who don't necessarily, and I don't communicate with all animals. I think it has to do with how grounded I am and my mindset at the time and stuff. But we had this moment. We had this understanding, and the mouse was basically just trying to. We're just from the mouse's point of view. It was doing the same thing I am, just trying to survive, come in from the cold, keep its family, feed its family, be healthy, find a place to live. And so we had this entire exchange, almost like an energetic exchange. And while I was sitting in that place after the mouse ran off, this probably went on for like 3 to 5 minutes, which seemed like a very long time. And as the mouse left, we had this understanding. And my mind was blown at what had just transpired, the connection I made to such a small being, on this earth. And And then I thought, oh my goodness, I forgot about the trap. And so as I was going to my kitchen to get the trap, I hear this pop, and I hit my knees. We fight most of our battles on our knees, and I heard the most profound, painful scream I've ever heard in my life of something dying. And it wasn't even just of death. It was like a sense of betrayal, because we had this understanding, and I killed it anyways. We trusted each other, and I didn't move the trap. And so this has to I think about this with anything, with cultural differences, racial differences, countries, wars, anything. It's kind of the same thing. We all live in the same world. We're all trying to survive, and it's not that I didn't want to kill the mouse. I didn't want to kill its family, or and so after that, I was thinking in terms of the trap. We like to blame others for things that happen in our cities, in our families, in our environment. And as far as the trap goes, were the people who made the trap responsible for killing the mouse also? What if multiple people made the trap in different locations and didn't actually know that they were making a trap? Are they all responsible as well? If they didn't know what it was going to be used for, then should they be held accountable? I mean, I think it has, and that has a lot to do with my beliefs as far as mindfulness. It's completely about intention. I'm the one. No, I didn't intentionally mean to kill that mouse. But the mouse didn't know that when it died. Shoot, it could come back in another life seeking revenge on me, and I can't explain that I didn't mean to kill the mouse, because it's already done. But I'm the one that set the trap. I'm 100% accountable, because we always have a choice in life. And then as far as Thor goes, he's the bigger beast. But because he's lived, confined all his life and had his claws removed, he feels like he can't defend himself. And all of that just signifies that how big something as small as a tiny little mouse, how much impact and how big of a voice it can have. In that specific moment, it changed my entire life and my entire perspective of so many things. Because, and that's when I started, that's where the missing piece came from. And I think these things are passed down through generation after generation, as far as past hurt and past hate and past trauma in our lives. And when you go through family lines, they always talk about their past enemies and their past. Most people don't talk about their mistakes. Most people don't talk about all the bad, when my family members or exes or things like that came home from war, everybody, it's like we offer them medals and prizes and all these other things, and they're seen as heroes, but at what cost? And that's passed on through families, and that's passed on through the next generation, through our kids, and there's no accountability. And I think peace, in order to truly achieve peace, as far as in the world, in our environments, it starts with ourselves, and until the war in ourselves, um, until we completely heal those parts of us, and being able to sit in that moment and fully take in when we make mistakes or when we hurt people or things, and be accountable for what we've done, nothing will ever change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I think that specifically set me on this journey of finding, not only inner peace, but being inspired by every person on every person's story on my own show, on Chasing, on the entire network. I watch other people in professions that just have astounding stories and advice, and it's profound. And I think once you start seeing the bigger picture and realizing that, trying to see the perspective from everybody's, even meeting people from we tend to box ourselves in, and meeting people from other parts of not only the world, well, even the US, but the world. I can't see something from someone's perspective that lives in, even in the US, on the East Coast or the West Coast or far north or south, because I'm in the middle. And I think that's how I communicate with spirits as well, and my ancestors, because it's enabled me to see different perspectives and be neutral, be in the middle, because I don't take sides. I try to see everything objectively and focus on solutions, rather than creating more negative energy in different locations. So I think the importance there is, when I go to a place, historical figures from all over contact me, sometimes from all the way across the world. And that's important, because even though our history is destroyed, many times our spirits can't be. Nothing can ever destroy our spirits. So they're still able to communicate that message from other worlds or other dimensions, and that's huge. So if more people were able to share that and bring all of our findings of, yes, people say we go to the same places to investigate paranormal activities, and we go to and everybody has the same evidence and all this, but everybody's perspective is different, and everybody brings something else to the table. So I think that's the biggest thing, there's a place for everyone. And what you feeds you. I think knowledge and truth and historical accuracy is important, as far as holding ourselves accountable as a human race. And so I think that's from from now on, I'm going to be doing a lot of I'm going to be doing some projects on my Savage Roots Alchemy store and website and everything as well. As far as actually going my photography and things like that. But I'm also going to kind of start explaining more how I'm led on these rabbit holes to different locations and different people and the entire process that goes into that. Because I think it's important to know the background and and also that I'm a normal person. You know, I'm just a normal girl and here in Kansas, USA. And so anyone can connect to nature, I think. And that's what I've taken from this. As far, I do have some exciting, um, really different people in the future that I plan on interviewing. Um, that I think will bring a very unique perspective to the amazing gifts that people have in this world, and that I'm excited to be able to help them share those. So um, that's something